When one American paratrooper fought 100 German SS troops for 72 hours, until his 3 grenades ran out. 0100 to 1:30 opening. The Ardennes Forest, December 1944. A brutal, swirling vortex of snow and bitter cold. The greatest battle on the Western Front was raging, the Battle of the Bulge. The entire Allied line was shattering under the hammer blow of Hitler's final, desperate offensive. It was a crisis of unimaginable scale. But here, in a small, forgotten sector of that inferno, the true measure of American resistance was about to be taken. The story we tell today is one of impossible odds, a testament to sheer, individual resolve that defied all tactical logic. When one American paratrooper fought 100 German SS troops for 72 hours, until his 3 grenades ran out. The paratrooper's name was Corporal Frank R. Kulas. A man dropped behind enemy lines, isolated and alone, facing the elite and merciless 12-carat SS Panzer Division, the Hitlerjugend. The question was not if they would find him, but when. And when they did, could one man armed with an M1 Garand, a handful of ammunition, and a fast-fading memory of his objective, hold back the tide of an entire 100-man SS company for 3 brutal, agonizing days? The silence of the pine forest was about to be broken by the relentless, terrifying sound of war. 1:30 to 5 o'clock background. The date was December 17 1944. 3 days earlier, Kulas, a rifleman from the 101 Street Airborne Division's 506 Parachute Infantry Regiment, had jumped into the chaos near the Belgian town of Bastogne. His mission, along with a small 3-man reconnaissance patrol, was simple: secure a critical, unmarked crossroads deep in the woods, a nexus that the German Text Panzer units absolutely needed to rapidly advance. The patrol was quickly ambushed. 2 men fell instantly to German small arms fire, the third was captured. Kulas, separated in the swirling fog and snow, found himself completely alone, 15 miles behind the advancing German spearhead. His equipment was minimal: his M1 Garand with 15 clips of .30 caliber ammunition, 120 rounds total, a Ka-Bar fighting knife, a meager C-ration pack, and exactly 3 Text Mk2 fragmentation grenades. He quickly located the designated crossroads. It was exactly as intelligence predicted: a muddy, winding path that was the fastest route for the heavy Text Panzer armor pushing towards the Meuse River. If Kulas didn't hold it, the entire German operational timeline would be accelerated. The strategic situation was dire. The 101 Street Airborne was rapidly being encircled at Bastogne, fighting for their lives. Kulas was a grain of sand in a hurricane, completely cut off from radio communication, supplies, and support. But Kulas understood the doctrine of the Screaming Eagles: hold your ground, no matter what. His assignment, though initially just a reconnaissance, was now a one-man, last-ditch holding action against the weight of the German counteroffensive. 5 o'clock to 1500 building tension. The long vigil began on the evening of December 17 th. The air was sub-zero, the ground frozen solid. Kulas, a veteran of fighting in Corentin and Market Garden, chose his position with grim expertise. He found a small, overgrown hunting blind atop a slight rise overlooking the crossroads. It offered a clear line of fire and solid, earthen protection. He knew his enemy. The 12-carat SS were fanatical, well-equipped, and rarely took prisoners. He would not simply be fighting soldiers, he would be fighting zealots. By 0600 hours on December 18 the silence of the forest was broken by the distant growl of diesel engines. The SS was advancing. Kulas used his field glasses to count them. It wasn't a patrol, it was the 2-carat ND company of the Text SS Panzergrenadier Regiment 25. At least 100 men, marching in a loose formation, confident and cold. They had a dozen Text Kettenkrad motorcycles for scouts and heavy support from Text MG-42 machine gun teams. Their objective was clear: secure the crossroads and wait for the King Tigers. At 0830 hours, the first 4 Text Kettenkrads approached the kill zone. Kulas took a deep breath, sighting down his M1. He allowed them to draw within 75 yards. He fired 3 rapid shots. The signature ping of the M1's empty clip echoed, a sound that in this cold stillness might as well have been a dinner bell. 3 SS scouts crumpled into the snow. The silence that followed was terrifying. Pause. The SS reaction was swift and brutal. They deployed immediately, the distinctive, high-rate Text MG-42 fire tearing into the woods around Kulas's position. He was pinned down, forced to conserve his precious ammunition. For the rest of the day, the SS company systematically attempted to flank him, their movements disciplined and relentless. Kulas moved between 3 pre-dug firing positions, a technique known as fire and maneuver, applied here in a desperate, solo defense. He made every shot count. By nightfall of the 18-carat th he had expended only 5 clips, 40 rounds, but the enemy was stalled. He counted at least 6 confirmed kills. The company commander, now aware they faced an unseen sniper, ordered a full perimeter lockdown, freezing the advance. Day 2, December 19-carat th. The German objective was no longer the crossroads, it was Kulas. They knew they were facing one man, but they could not advance until he was eliminated. They had brought up a Text Granatwerfer 34 8 Text cm mortar. The 8 Text cm mortar rounds began impacting the ridge line. Kulas was rocked by the concussions, the scent of cordite and shattered pine needles filling the air. He was deafened, but not broken. He had to draw them in. He waited until a 10-man fire team attempted a direct assault, crawling through the underbrush. He waited until they were just 30 yards away, within perfect range for an 8-round clip. He stood up, emptied the clip in 8 seconds, and dropped back down. The assault failed, costing the SS 5 more men. Little did the Germans know, they were being held up by a single man with fewer than 70 rounds left. This delay was giving the engineers at Bastogne priceless hours to set up their defenses. 1500 to 2200, the crisis. Night fell again, bringing with it an even more bitter cold, plunging the temperature to -10 circ text C. Kulas hadn't eaten a full meal in 3 days, and his small water canteen was now a block of ice. His hands were raw, and his feet were numb. Fatigue was becoming his deadliest enemy. He knew the SS would use the cover of darkness. At 0300 hours on December 20th th the crisis arrived. The Germans launched a coordinated, silent infiltration. Kulas heard the faint crunch of boots in the snow, closer than he'd ever heard before. He saw the dark silhouettes of 3 Text SS Schützen, SS riflemen, advancing directly toward his main position. He had been discovered. He had only 45 rounds remaining. He took out 2 men with 2 precise shots from the M1. The third man, just 10 yards away, dropped his rifle and sprinted, drawing a Text Pistol 08 pistol. Kulas, moving on pure instinct, threw his Ka-bar fighting knife. The blade found its mark. The SS soldier collapsed silently. The engagement was over, but the sounds of the struggle had alerted the main company. The SS commander was now furious. He ordered a full, overwhelming assault at dawn. Pause. The morning of December 20th th was the beginning of the end. At 0700 hours, they came. The remaining 80 to 90 men of the Text SS Kompanie advanced in a dense line, providing continuous, suppressive fire from 4 Text MG-42 positions. Kulas's field of fire was filled with charging men. He fired his remaining M1 rounds rapidly, taking down man after man, the spent clips ejecting almost rhythmically. But for every man he dropped, 2 more took his place. He was now down to his last 2 M1 clips, 16 rounds total. An SS squad broke through the flank. They were 15 yards away, closing fast. Kulas threw his first text Mk2 grenade. The blast was deafening, catching 3 men, scattering the others. He had bought himself 30 precious seconds. He emptied one of his last clips, dropping the new lead man. He was out of rifle ammunition. 2200-27, the turning point. He now had only 2 text Mk2 fragmentation grenades and a desperate, half-forgotten plan. His mission was not merely to stop the advance, but to deny the crossroads permanently to heavy armor. He remembered the demolition instruction: the biggest threat to armor is an impassable roadbed. Kulas grabbed his text Schneidwerksjäg, the small engineer's shovel he'd carried, and began furiously digging under the main cross-section of the road. The Germans, seeing the M1 fire cease, believed the American was dead or fled. They moved in, cautiously at first, then rapidly to secure the position. They began clearing the bodies of their fallen comrades. Kulas now had a critical choice. He could throw his last 2 grenades at the advancing SS troops and likely die instantly in the subsequent counterfire, or he could use them for his demolition target. He chose the latter. He had no conventional text TNT, or composition C. He improvised. He placed 1 grenade beneath a large, exposed root system on the roadbed. He placed the final, precious text Mk2 grenade directly into the earth under the main axis of the road, tying a short length of fuse wire he found in his pack to the pin. Pause. He moved 10 yards down the road and took cover behind a fallen log. The SS troops were now right on top of his original firing position, searching the ground. Kulas pulled the fuse wire on the first grenade. The blast was not massive, but it was perfectly positioned. The explosion detonated the root system, creating a surprisingly large crater that destabilized the road shoulder. The SS troops were thrown into chaos, unsure where the attack came from. Kulas did not hesitate. As the lead German officer stood directly over the initial blast zone, trying to re-establish command, Kulas pulled the pin on his very last grenade, the one set beneath the road. The second explosion was the turning point. It didn't just create a large crater, it collapsed the entire subsurface of the crossroads, turning the muddy route into a deep, impassable, muddy trap. The SS company was utterly stunned. They were left with a major obstacle for their heavy tanks, their timetable ruined, all while the American they sought was gone, having slipped away in the confusion. Corporal Kulas had accomplished his mission with his final 3 grenades, delaying a significant advance for a crucial 72 hours. 27:00:30:00 Resolution and Legacy. Kulas spent the next day and a half navigating the frozen forests, evading SS patrols. On the morning of December 22, starving and frostbitten, he stumbled into the perimeter of the 501 Street Parachute Infantry Regiment near the town of Foy. He was immediately hospitalized, suffering from severe exposure and exhaustion. He was one of only a handful of men to survive such prolonged, isolated combat during the Bulge. The intelligence he brought back regarding the precise location and composition of the text SS Panzergrenadier Regiment 25 was invaluable. More importantly, the critical 72-hour delay he imposed, created by the improvised demolition of the crossroads, forced the German company to spend 2 full days trying to bypass the obstacle and wait for engineer support. This delay directly contributed to the effective setting of American defenses at Bastogne, proving that the courage of one isolated soldier could derail the plans of a text Wehrmacht field marshal. The immediate casualty count for Kulas's single-handed engagement was staggering: an estimated 20 to 25 German SS troops killed, several more wounded, and an entire company-level advance halted. The SS never got the vital crossroads they needed. Corporal Frank R. Kulas was recognized for his valor. For holding his post for 3 days against impossible odds and securing a crucial strategic point, he was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, the second highest decoration for valor in the United States Army. His official commendation cited his sheer determination and indomitable courage that transcended the normal bounds of duty. The battle for the crossroads was a forgotten footnote in a monumental battle, but it stands as one of the most remarkable acts of sustained, isolated heroism in the history of the Western Front. 30.0031.00 Outro. The story of Corporal Kulas is the story of the individual spirit that won the war. A man with 3 grenades, facing 100 of the enemy, who understood that his duty was not to survive, but to succeed. This was just one of countless untold stories from the Second World War. Subscribe to World War II Records as we continue to bring these forgotten chapters of history back to life.